On today's show, the San Diego Padres starting pitching problems continue as they drop another game to the Orioles. All the wheels are coming off. The offense isn't working. Relief pitching, all the injuries and everything. And folks, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm really worried. Really, really worried.
You are Locked On Padres, your daily San Diego Padres podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Padres podcast, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for Wednesday, September 3rd. As always, I'm your host with sometimes the most, Javier Reyes, and I've been covering this team for nearly 6 years now, not just this podcast, but several other outlets, including JustBaseball.com, Chief, among them. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Be sure to check that out, and be sure to check out the YouTube channel if you want to have questions answered on this here show. We answer them throughout the week. I'm starting to think of actually moving away from the Monday mailbag format and just answering questions and comments as I get them. Check out the YouTube, Locked On Padres on YouTube. Leave a comment under the video, and I will try to get to it. But today's episode, guys, we're going to recap the game. We're talking about how just in general, the Padres are starting to remind me of some of the worst Padres attributes over these last 5 years, right? One of the reasons we complain about AJ Preller, one of the reasons we complain about the team and how disappointing they can be. And they're starting to remind me about that a lot. So we're going to talk about that, dive deep, at least deep-ish, into that on today's episode, guys. Hopefully you enjoy. But let's start with quickly going over the score. Yesterday, the Padres lose last night, 6-2, despite the fact that they got some rarities in this one. And I'm not just talking about my guy, Freddie Fermin, going 2 for 2 in this one with a hit. Like, love to see our boy, Freddie Fermin. Ryan O'Hearn not in the lineup in this game, unfortunately. I didn't really like that. But the big hit in this game that the Padres get, the only hit really, is Luis Arraez hitting a home run in this one at the bottom of the third inning. But unfortunately, the Padres just don't come back after that. They end up losing 6-2. Baltimore just able to pepper them with a couple of hits. Gunnar Henderson in this game, no. Jackson Holliday, yes. And Jeremiah Jackson gets 2 ribbies as well as 4 from Emmanuel Rivera. Shouts at, I believe he's Puerto Rican, if I'm not mistaken, and helped us in the World Baseball Classic a few years ago. But Homer pick there. But in general, the big story about this game is, once again, for more than a week now, the Padres have failed to get a quality start out of their starting pitching. This time, Yu Darvish, who, by the way, looked okay to start this game, right? Yes, it was 3-0 at the top of the third. It wasn't looking good there, but it looked like, okay, maybe he's dealing with it. He does get 6 Ks in this one, but overall, 4 innings, 3 earned runs on 6 hits, 2 walks and 6 Ks. They use Wandy Peralta, they use David Morgan, they use Yuki Matsui, and use Alec Jacob for 2 just to get through the game because, again, this bullpen is so taxed. And the Jason Adam injury, who is now out for the season confirmed, to have all of that occur and you're still not getting quality starts from your starting pitching. Look, this is, I don't really know what else there is to say. In terms of Darvish, let's talk about him specifically. AJ Preller, I still believe, is a net good for this Padres team. And I do think that sometimes when we complain about AJ Preller and his moves, it's important to note that there is something to be said for establishing a culture, which is what I think he's done. I think that it's good to be establishing a team culture and mindset and reputation for being a team that will go out and try and trade for stars, go out and try and sign stars, make moves all the time, instead of a lot of other Major League ball clubs that, yes, it feels more comfortable being those other teams because you have all these prospects, you don't have these albatross contracts potentially on your team. They don't really go anywhere. They're really just kind of kicking the can down the road. And for those who bring up the Brewers, history shows that if you aren't in the top half of payroll, you aren't going to the World Series, and you certainly aren't winning it, right? Only 3 of the last 32 years, I believe, teams outside the top half of the payroll have made the World Series. So that team unlikely to go super far, but there is negatives, and some of the negatives you can see pop up with a player like Yu Darvish. Now, here's the thing. As I was mentioning, AJ Preller has established a culture. Was part of that culture that you were like, we're a small market. We need to maybe even sometimes do decisions that we won't love. And again, this is the spin zone that I'm trying to do to cope, that we're going to give out contracts really quickly to players that we like and show loyalty to players. That way, this will help us down the road with trying to attract free agents. And maybe we won't get all the biggest ones. You don't get a Roki Sasaki. all the time, right? But it does mean that maybe they'll call you. You'll get you'll get an input on the player, right? Because some other teams, maybe they aren't able to make those calls because they have not established a reputation as a team that's serious. Well, the Padres, at least in terms of acquiring star talent, have clearly shown to be a serious team. That all being said, the extension for Yu Darvish is one of the. It's not the worst prove Preller has ever made because, again, he has been useful over the course of this. But I think the decision to extend him is one of the moves up there that I think is questionable. Coming off of 2023, Yu Darvish had a really good season. Right? Really, really, really good season. His first year with the Padres was a little bit tale of two cities, right? Back in 2021. And 2021, by the way, will also be brought up on today's podcast. But in the second half, he really fell apart. For those who don't remember, his 2021 season, he was an all-star. And then in the second half of the season, he posted a ERA of 6.16 as opposed to the 3.09 that he hosted the first half, right? But it was like, you know what? Things happen. It's weird. Whatever. And in general, that ended up being okay because then what did he do in 2022? Right? He was really, really good. And he didn't make the All-Star team. I think he actually ended up doing better more in the second half. He was more neutral. But 3.10 ERA, it was great that year. Then, what did they do? They extended him. Now, you might be wondering, well, he just had basically 1.5 good seasons. He's Yu Darvish. He's always been an amazing talent. So what's wrong with the extension? My issue is that you did it when he wasn't a free agent yet. If you had just waited for after that 2022 season when he was excellent, he then posts a 4.56 ERA. In 136 innings, some of the health questions again start to reemerge. The reason I have a problem with the contract is because at 36 years old, you extended him and you didn't have to yet. What if? Let's pretend they still signed Yu Darvish, but how much less would it cost and how much less would he be potentially adding to this payroll for less years if you had just waited after 2023? I don't think a 6-year contract after that 4.5 ERA season, I don't think 6 years 108 is available for Yu Darvish following the 2023 season. So it's moments like these where Preller gets really aggressive and jumps on some of the guys that you see in the present. For all those reasons I illustrated before, and because of just simple team building, that you start to wonder, like, was this a mistake? They still have Yu Darvish for not just this year, but 26, 27, and 28, 3 more years after this year. And while I do believe that there is hope that Yu Darvish can be a guy that could be useful in the playoffs, right? He could give you that big start. He has before. He was excellent last year. Despite being a little bit shaky in the regular season, came back last year and was awesome in the playoffs and wasn't the reason that they lost to the Dodgers whatsoever. But that's a lot of value that we're expecting out of a postseason like role, a specialized role, because regular season, clearly, he just seems to be breaking down. It's just not working. He's not able to get back into it. The fact that he has not gone in pretty much any of his starts, I believe he's only had one start. I'm going to check it right now. He has not been able to go deep into games, is a serious problem for this team, not just for now, but also going forward, right? It's very nerve-wracking, right? He's only got 6 innings once, I believe it is. No, twice. And then he's gone 4 in 3 of the other starts. So again, it's really concerning. We're gonna see how it shakes out, though. We're gonna have to see. That's all we can do. We gotta just hope. But let me tell you guys, you don't have to hope when it comes to our friends over at Upside because they're a guarantee, folks. Because with Upside, if you're paying full price for gas still, don't worry, because with the Upside app, you can start getting real cash back every time you fill up with their free application available via the App Store or Google Play Store right now. Start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. So what are you waiting for, man? Sounds too good to be true, but yeah, real people are getting paid. Just ask them. On their daily commutes, all those things. PayPal, e-gift cards, whatever you want, you can cash out anytime. It's great. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. And folks, I also need to talk to you about our friends over at the time of games. That is game time. Ladies and gentlemen, we love game time here at Locked On Padres. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live, the energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team achieve eternal glory and purpose. And purpose, folks. Something that many of us often seek. I don't know why I'm getting deep in the middle of a game time ad read, but when it comes to getting the tickets, that can be a little bit tough. The queues, the login scenes, all that sort of stuff, surprise fees. Game time takes all of that out of it. Don't worry about all that stuff. It gives you advantage all the time, fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, like I said, so the price you see is the price you pay. No, oh, I'm checking out. All of a sudden, this costs $40 more with all these extra fees. Don't worry, it's going to be great, guys. Go download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Download Game Time today. And just like that, everybody, we are back here thriving and vibing on the Locked On Padres podcast. Remember to go check out the show on wherever you get your podcast platforms and check out the YouTube. Leave some comments so I can answer them on the show, which we will be answering today as well. But let me just say, back with the Yu Darvish thing, I actually messed up before. In terms of since he's gotten back, I was wrong. It's actually been worse than I thought. Starting on July, what was it? He started, he's just had so many short outcomes. But bottom line is 5.75 ERA so far. They really need just anything right now. And I think that AJ Preller and company, it's becoming a thing where we have to start asking. They probably thought that with JP Sears, with a Randy Vasquez, maybe some other help from the minors that we don't necessarily know about. Maybe they bring back Matt Waldron, whatever it is, if they could, right? He hasn't been available, but they thought with JP Sears, Nestor Cortes, that they were going to be able to make up and at least get through the rest of the regular season. They figured we're getting Michael King back. They figured we just got Yu Darvish back. And by the way, he did have a good start. Like, I think it's worth mentioning that he had some good starts this year, right? He did have an absolute beast of a start at one point, making us start to think, okay, he's back, right? The 6-inning game against the Dodgers only let up one run. The 6-inning game against San Fran only let up one run. So there was some hope. 7 innings against the Mets, no runs, right? Like, he had some moments, but overall, we're just seeing that the Padres are really in danger there, and maybe they overestimated their starting pitching depth. This is why everyone always talks about, on every show that you listen to, every show that you listen to will always bring up, you can't have too much starting pitching, and it's true, right? We took for granted the depth that Stephen Kolek and Ryan Bergert were giving this team, both of which have delivered basically nothing but quality starts for the Royals ever since. Not literally in terms of the 6 innings, but Bergert, he hasn't gone lower than 5 1/3, and he hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs in any start, so he's not killing them, right? 5 innings and 2 earned runs. This Padres team would kill for that right now. Are you kidding me? This team would kill for that. And Kolek, who had his first start with the Royals, he went 6 innings, only gave up 1 earned run. So the Padres are sorely missing them. So both of those guys right now. And I think that the desperation for a catcher, I think that that's why Preller had to give up too. I think the Royals probably, I would levy to guess, this is me speculating, no concrete evidence, but I bet you they were like, well, we know you need this guy, so we're going to charge you more, right? Supply and demand type stuff. So really, really rough for the Padres. I do not think that the Padres have had, like, thinking about this, I do not believe the starting pitching situation, which granted, it's only been really red alarm for, I'm going to say, about 2.5 weeks now. Right? Because it's still, we're not too far removed from the deadline if you think about it. I know it's been a month, but it only seriously started emerging these last 2 weeks where they couldn't get any quality starts. The offense wasn't playing at a god tier level, and you have the Jason Adam injury, Sander Bogaerts, Jackson Merrill, and Fernando Tatis Jr., both back in the lineup yesterday, but you've had some injuries there. Just really, really bad, right? So you put all that together, and this is the worst I think the starting pitching has been for the Padres since 2021. I really do. I really, really do. I think this is a team that in 2021, what was the story? I just mentioned Yu Darvish. He fell off in the second half. Joe Musgrove was basically the saving grace of that team. And then you also had Blake Snell back then. But Blake Snell, his first year with the Padres in 21, he wasn't very good. And those who might remember, they had to go out and sign Jake Arrieta and Vincent Velasquez, both guys that had moments at points in their careers, but they were completely cooked, and it was clear that they were desperate for some back-end arms because their rotation wasn't good. They weren't getting anything out of Snell consistently. Snell was basically doing what Dylan Cease was doing right now, except it wasn't right before he was a free agent, right? So I think that that's why there was a lot of frustration amongst Padres fans compared to Snell, who also, by the way, Snell, at least back then in 2021, unlike this team, Snell at least started showing some signs at the end of 2021 that he could be okay, right? If you got 2021 Snell, on this Padres team, it's possible that he might have been able to do something, right? In the second half for Blake Snell in 2021, 3.24 ERA compared to the 4.99 that he was posting in the first half, right? Like, he did show potential the second half. Dylan Cease has not done that at all. So if you take that into account, it's basically almost as bad. The only thing that makes the situation better is the bullpen really is the best in Major League Baseball. But by my approximation, as of what I'm looking at right now, this is the worst that it's been, I think, since 2021 in terms of this modern era of being a quality baseball team. I'm not talking about the 2018 or even the 2019 where, you know, you've got Joey Lucchesi starting, right? And even 2020, right? Yes, Chris Paddock ended up being a bust. That wasn't great after his near Rookie of the Year season in 2019, but they had Dinelson Lamet dealing. They had Zach Davies being a solid starter, and it was also the 2020 season, so it was different. So I think that truly, I do not remember it being any worse than this, right? Like, you were able to put together and patch together some good starts from other guys after this, right? You had Joe Musgrove in 2022. But for right now, what I'm looking at with this Padres team, it's that bad, guys. 21, 4 years ago. It's really a nightmare for this team right now. And even 2022, I'm looking at this team and I'm like, they had Mackenzie Gore, they had Sean Manaea at least filling innings for them, right? You had Blake Snell do a lot better this year. Mike Clevenger was bad, but he filled in innings. And this all leads me to say, God, do they need a start from Nestor Cortes today? Nestor Cortes, please do not get ejected again or anything like that. They desperately need a good start from him, and it's against Cade Povich of the Orioles. The Padres better wake up and win and salvage what has been a very bad series for them. And granted, they do have some weak competition coming up, but I don't think the weak competition is going to matter if you can't have starters that can at least give you 4 innings, right? So Nestor Cortes, honestly, even if they lose today's game, if he can go 6, that would be huge. Don't get me wrong, you want to win the game too. But going 6 innings is going to be huge for this team. So if he only goes 4 and the Padres win, that's good because they do have a day off tomorrow. But I just need to see consistency. I need to see potential out of this rotation, or else it's going to get bad. And this is looking like a team that could be a first-round exit, right? Because they just don't seem like a team that shows up consistently, right? Last year, they were world beaters. This year, they're a team that's limping. And limping is not what you like to see out of a team that has a lot of superstars, and especially a team that you're hoping can win a World Series. But folks, before we conclude and answer one of your little listener comment questions about the Padres, I need to talk to you guys about our friends over at the Monarchical. Over at the money that is monarchy, that is Monarch Money, guys. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth. Well, have no fear, because Monarch Money is here, right? It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, don't worry. Monarch is here for you. They're right by your side. You know what I mean? They do the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. And it also makes reviewing finances with your partner, your parent, not parent, but whoever it is, right? Whoever your partner person is that you have to keep in mind, whatever it is, financial advisor as well, keeping a clear view of your financial health week to week and long term. That's what Monarch Money is all about. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. Go check it out. And just like that, everybody, we are back here on the Locked On Padres podcast, thriving and vibing despite it all in this final segment. I want to answer a little bit of another little listener question that we got from the always questionable Mr. Tony Sue. And he writes about one Sir Jacob Marsee. He wants to let the Locked On Padres fans know about Jacob Marsee. He's a former prospect, for those who don't remember, and he was acquired in the Arise trade. and is actually setting records right now. For anyone who doesn't remember Jacob Marsee, you can be excused because he was in the Padres system for only a little over a year, but what a year that was in the Padres farm system. I think he might have been signed as an undrafted nobody and started at the lowest levels of the farm system, but in that first year, advanced rapidly through the entire farm to Double-A, and then given an opportunity to play in the Arizona Fall League, which is where the top minor leaguers go get some extra seasoning and compete against other top prospects. He won the MVP award as the top player in the AFL that year, joining some very notable and exclusive players who have since become locks to enter the Hall of Fame. And basically, here's my thing. I just got to point it out. Tony Sue, I think it is hilarious that you've been hyping up Luis Arraez for like frankly the whole season, and now you're bringing up that the guy we gave up currently in 32 games for the Miami Marlins at 24 years old, and he plays in the outfield. He's slashing .330 with a .411 on base and a .589 slugging. Right? I just think it's really funny that you're defending Luis Arraez valiantly and also bringing up that, man, we're getting killed on the fact that this former prospect that we gave up for Arraez is already better of a player than Luis Arraez for now. This might change, right? Young players change all the time. There's plenty of guys. Hey, remember Luis Campusano? Remember when he had a 135 WRC plus? That means he was 35% above league average. He was borderline an all-star worthy batter at that position for half a season. And then he fell off, and he was so bad that they were like, we can't even let him play over Martin Maldonado, which is something I disagree with for what it's worth, but still, that's how bad of a project Luis Campusano turned out to be. But this does bring up, again, one of the reasons with AJ Preller, right? Like Tony Sue goes on to mention, but in Preller's wish to obtain a rise, he traded the shooting star in the farm system. It has taken another few years in the minor league system, but the Marlins finally promoted him, and today he looks like he could become a bona fide superstar. This is why most teams like to trade with the Padres. The Padres might obtain a Tatis in trade, but today you could probably fill the roster of a playoff contender with the players the Padres have traded away. I don't disagree. Everybody go check out my episode I actually did a few weeks back. I forgot exactly when I did this, but it was with my friend Peyton Genus over at Just Baseball of Big League Analysis, right? Go check him out on TikTok. He does great work. But we did, like, he did a video a while back talking about like the all AJ Preller team, right? Which is really funny. Like, it's really funny that we went out and did that, but it's true. He has been a guy that has traded as many prospects as anyone. It's Padres former prospects dominate. It's from 3 weeks ago, by the way. So go check that out with my friend Peyton. And yeah, you look around the league and you say, forget Jacob Marsee for a second. Look at what Stephen Kolek and Ryan Bergert are doing. I think that this is worth bringing up. And this is why when people message me and they say, look, man, like, we got to go for it. Like, you actually really don't. AJ Preller is remarkably good at obtaining prospects, and the criticisms of him are basically that he could be his own worst enemy. There are times when you're like, are we sure we needed to do that? Wouldn't you rather have this guy instead? So for as much as he sometimes receives in trades back, the criticism is, well, those guys ended up being better lately. And here's my other thing. Yes, it's win now moves, and I'm all for putting your chips all in the middle of the table. But I've been hearing, and I like to bring this up on the podcast a lot. It's a little bit more of a philosophical thing, almost, but I have personally been hearing, and I talk about the Padres every single day. I follow every news report, more or less, every single day, with rare exceptions of like holidays and whatnot. I'm not going to lie to y'all. You know, sometimes I don't check my phone when I'm doing stuff. I have the day off. But I've been following them for a long time. And I've been hearing the Padres need to win now, or the Padres are in a win now mode. They got to go out and do stuff now. I've been hearing that since 2021, right? Which tells me, oh, so 2021 wasn't really a win now year, was it? We still had more time. 22 wasn't just a win now year. We had more time. 24, maybe we could start arguing about it because they did give up a lot of pitching prospects, and it was by far the best team under the AJ Preller regime, whatever you want to call it. And they went for it, and they did lose to the Dodgers, but it was clear, in my opinion, and by the way, you can ask Dodgers fans this. You can ask my buddy Jeff Snyder, right? You can go check out the Snydog, right? You can ask all of them. The Padres looked like easily the best team in Major League Baseball last year, right? Obviously, they had some bad luck. They also just didn't perform. Bad luck being Joe Musgrove, not perform being the 24-inning streak. But overall, you look at that team and you say, they really were the best. I understand why Preller went for it. And this is why this year I was a little bit cautious. Now, my belief is still the Mason Miller trade. I still believe. I believe that this is a guy that the value makes more sense if they're testing him as a starting pitcher. It's because, oh yeah, all of a sudden y'all are going to start saying, oh my God, I hope they do, because this starting rotation's a mess right now. They're going to need that next year. But in terms of the team as a whole, right, they've given up a lot of players and it hasn't always resulted in consistent winning. My belief is things just haven't shaken up the right way. And sometimes you have to look at sports and really just understand, or at least acknowledge, that there's a whole lot of luck that is involved in this, right? If Fernando Tatis Jr. doesn't get suspended, right? Or even more interesting, if he does get suspended, but it happens before the deadline, maybe they don't give up the absolute huge treasure trove of assets, right? If that suspension gets announced 2 days before the trade deadline, does AJ Preller give up all those guys? I think the momentum blow would. I bet you he doesn't. Maybe he just does Brandon Drury and Josh Bell. Right? Maybe not just Josh Bell, because that was part of the Soto package. But you get my point. Maybe he just does that. Maybe he gets a reliever and he's like, all right, maybe we could go for it a little bit this year. Maybe they don't beat the Dodgers, don't get me wrong. But maybe they don't do that. And instead, they've got CJ Abrams manning shortstop and not under a super long, enormous contract, right? And don't get me wrong, the Nationals are a mess, so I don't like it when the Nationals fans talk too much smack, because the Nationals have been really bad since this trade too. They haven't really improved all that much. But Mackenzie Gore, he hasn't been pitching in a little bit, but 4.15 ERA. I understand it got a little bit bloated, but a lot of strikeouts. That would be awesome as a number 3 starter. James Wood, 3-win player this year. CJ Abrams, 3-win player this year. They've both got speed. They've got above average contact skills. They've got amazing power potential, and they're young at 22 and 24. And they also have Jarlin Susana. Right? He's still a prospect for them. I say all this to just say that, sports can be very lucky sometimes. It can be very luck-based. And if the Padres don't blow it like they did last year, they might be in the World Series and maybe they win. It's totally possible. So my thing is, I don't want to get super on Preller right now. There are things that have been out of his control. Like, I don't think he thought that Tatis was going to inexplicably be incapable of hitting for power anymore, specifically for home runs. Like, he is going to have the lowest home run total of a healthy season of his career, and he just can't hit on top of the zone anymore. You can't project these things all the time, and things just haven't shaken the Padres' way all the time over these last few years, and it's frustrating. It is. But overall, you still have to keep the faith, because crazier things have happened. And bottom line is, things can change drastically. Nestor Cortes could go out and throw 6 innings today, right? Yu Darvish, he could turn things around. They could get Michael King back, and then hope that Dylan Cease could be okay for them, whatever. But if those things happened, right, the possibility they enter into the playoffs, if they play well against Colorado this weekend, and then they beat the Reds, which if they beat the Reds in the next series, that really will almost guarantee them a playoff spot, then maybe the vibes are better, right? We're not going to have to face the Dodgers at this rate on our side of the bracket. That's good. That's really, really good. And it's still possible they win the division. It's not looking likely, in my opinion, with the way that they've been playing lately, but it's at least possible. And that's what you look for as a fan. And there are a lot of other teams in Major League Baseball that do not even have the possibility of even winning this thing, right? As evidenced by just where their team looks like. Washington Nationals, all the rebuild, it's not going out that great as much as they would like. Or those other teams that look good, but they don't spend anything, and history shows us they're not going to go very far. So that is my silver lining podcast of the week, everybody. But until next time, everybody, go send me some questions to answer for tomorrow's show, which we will be answering as much as I can, as many comments as I've seen over the last few days. And then we're going to be doing a recap. And for Fun Friday, we will have a guest. It's my buddy Paul Holden of the Rockies, to give some perspective, dare I say, on what it's like being a Rockies fan versus being a Padres guy. And maybe talk a little bit about that brawl that we saw happen the other day between Kyle Freeland and Rafael Devers. So until that next time, everybody, stay safe. And of course, stay faithful. My Friar Faithful homies, take care.